Hello, everybody. I hope you are safe behind your screens, in front of your mobile phones, in your home office, or wherever you are. And that means I think I can remove my mask because you can see my pretty face better. I'm Thomas Staneker from Kaon. I do business development in Europe, and I brought along with me my friend and colleague Carlos Santos from Portugal. Maybe, Carlos, you say a word about yourself, and then we kick off.
Thank you, Thomas. Hello, all. My name is Carlos Santos from Kaon. I joined Kaon more or less 1 year ago. My current role is a head of product, so I do have a double hat to support both the broadband and the video business. My main responsibility here is to support, of course, Thomas from a sales perspective, but also bring the demands and the understanding of operators across the European markets, and bring that internally, so that we can build the best products and also introduce exciting new leads towards working groups like prpl.
Cool. So, this is the two of us. As you see, we have two roles. And like always, when you talk about security, someone has to make people frightened and someone has to tell them it's all not so bad and the road is clear. I'm the bad cop. Carlos is the good cop. And before we go into the security topic, which is the overarching topic of our speech today, let's have a quick look at Kaon. We are a global player in broadband and video. We have presences in all the continents in the world. We have predominantly R&D experts who work for Kaon, developing both video and broadband products, DSL, DOCSIS, GPON, Wi-Fi, mesh, and all the set-top boxes you can imagine, plus all the software that comes along with it. We are a strongly growing company, a very stable company that is around since 19 years, and we are continuing to grow with a significant number of customers. You can see some of them on this slide, and some of you might recognize the logo of their own company. Others might not because they are partners, so this is just the customers. I think we have a similar slide with the same amount or even more partners we are working with. And I think that should be enough to talk about Kaon. And now let's see what we are talking about. We'll have three sections. One is my part, why security matters. Then Carlos will talk about what's happening in purple related to security. And last but not least, we'll have some look at what is explicitly done with Kaon and its partners in this domain. So now comes the bad cop. Security is really important for today's home networks. You see on the left, 80% of the routers have kind of some flaws when it comes to security, so they are at risk. When you type weak sec into, as you see, into Google, you'll see security Wi-Fi is the first topic that pops up. Because the gateway can become or is a main target for hackers, because once they are inside, everything that is connected to that gateway is at risk. Not only the device, but also the data, the communication, and everything that is happening inside the house is vulnerable at that point in time. And to make it even worse, the number of devices that are at risk is increasing dramatically because of IoT. While today, in my home, like 10, maximum 10 devices, if the kids are here, maybe 15 devices are connected. With IoT, this can easily go into the 30, 40, 50 devices, because every single device that has a connection to this home network is also at risk. So what can people do, and the bad people do, when they break into your home through the gateway? I mean, first of all, they can surf for free on your net without paying, and you pay for it. They can do anything of illegal acts, stealing things from you, stealing your data, stealing your content, stealing whatever they think they should steal. They can actually block you from enjoying any connection to the internet, or you can be infected by malware, or your kids can actually be threatened with a very indecent or illegal content. So the smart home with all those security risks can turn into what I call a scary home. And I think this is not what we want. And that's just what happens today. If you look at the picture, this I think is from Mad Max. The thing could even look much more brutal in the future. And it's a nightmare scenario if you think about someone knowing whether you're at home or not, someone manipulating your healthcare equipment and actually threatening you or blackmailing you, uh, someone activating the cameras in your house and seeing what's happening inside, or even worse, disconnecting complete buildings from the IT infrastructure, manipulate the electricity infrastructure. I think the list of things that can happen is huge, and before actually giving too many business ideas to the bad guys in the world, I would hand over to Carlos and see what we can do with purple to make this safe and not happen the way I depicted it. Carlos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Thomas. So what we will be focused currently is to quickly give you an overview on, Purple and Kaon security. When we talk about security, we need nowadays currently to be very concrete about what we are talking about. Are we talking about security as a holistic CP view or security as a service? For today's purpose, we definitely want to focus on the core and main differentiator, which is CP security and not as a service layer. What we are doing inside Purple Security Group is to take pretty much a risk managed approach to the topic security. What we are doing will enable our business and hopefully operator business to function effectively, safely, and securely. At the end of the day, we are looking towards achieving a career grade product. So that is the end goal when it comes to the security. All the security measures we are targeting and that we discuss on our weekly working groups are targeting or sitting at least in three fundamental principles of information security. Principle number one is confidentiality. The principle of confidentiality ensures data is protected against any unauthorized access. Principle number two, integrity. The principle of integrity ensures infrastructure and data is protected against unauthorized change. And principle number three, availability. The principle ensures always up and running CPs and services. So why is security a core value and also a differentiator? Why is it so important to be a credit reference towards security, and why it becomes of more relevance when we talk about open standards and open platform? Because that's also what we are doing inside Purple, right? So please allow me to walk you through some points of view, which I believe will bring us together into the table. What do we need to do? And what are we already doing? So it's very simple. I mean, as I said, on the weekly base, we definitely focus on the development of security open standards. That is our main core. We are working towards the creation of converged requirements when it comes to security. So we don't want to produce something that is only used internally by us. We want to, standardize those requirements and become a reference. Open source community development and support. So, I mean, we don't want to build for us. We want to share and continuously contribute accordingly. Open source framework and APIs definition. Yeah, so we want to make sure that what we do, not just only on the security working group, but on the different working groups supported by prpl and anyone that joined prpl, are secure and align with this mindset. SOC roadmap influencing, and this is a key topic, right? Because I mean, most of the times, even though we have the best intentions when it comes to software coding, for example, there are some limitations, right? And here I'm targeting one specific limitations on the SOC level, yeah, on the hardware low level integration. And this is something that we are already influencing big players also, to produce, the security patches and make sure that, for example, kernels are updated with more frequency. And lastly, understand the needs, know the needs. Yeah. So as Thomas introduced in the beginning, especially now in this pandemic situation, security has become a major topic to customers working from home, operating from home. So I think this last bullet really touches the ground of what we are doing in this group. Why do we need it? I mean, first of all, become the reference, right? We want to standardize our security guidelines to become a reference of implementation that can be followed and contribute back to the community. Establish the best security procedures, certifications, right? So that is also our core. How do we test it? Yeah, is it sufficient? Not sufficient? Yeah, so we also being creative in that angle. Win credibility and trust, because look, I mean, when we think about open standards, yeah, and let me give an example with purple WRT, right? The first point, especially we as an OEM, that we are challenged is how secure is your open platform, because at the end of the day you need to create that. So win credibility, win trust is key for our success. Yeah, so that's why the bullet point is definitely in the center of this slide, so it catches the eye. And we need game changers and no more fragmentations, right? So we want to make sure that from a security implementation, we all talk the same language, we all follow the same guidelines. That is crucial and essential for our success, for the success of this working group. How can we achieve it? I mean, this doesn't mean this is the right way to do it. It definitely does not mean it's the only way to do it, but there are some points here that will generate a lot of discussions, and I'm sure if this was a live web seminar, it will definitely generate a lot of questions, but we also welcome those offline. Break resiliency on the SOC level, right? So I mean, we need to start with the low level. We need to bring those big partners that are responsible for the baseline hardware and software to understand and talk the same language as us. Yeah. Multi-core architectures. Yeah, I mean, we cannot just touch one single architecture. We cannot touch one single SOC. It needs to be across all. Yeah, the same way we toggle purple WRT across different access technologies, we need to toggle security across multi-core architectures and also SOCs. Break a little bit the concept of proprietary security framework. I say a little bit because there are specific standards in terms of security, coding perspectives. So we also need to respect all of that. We cannot challenge it, yeah, because it's out, it's public, it's respected. But it's important that together, especially in this working group, we do not work towards a proprietary security framework. And I think here we are all on the same page that that is not definitely our main goal. Build strategic partnerships. Once again, we do have limitations, we do have dependencies, and building these strategic partnerships through purpl, engaging directly with different OEMs and also with different SOC suppliers and also different security entities is key for for the next steps. And last, respect and understand the trending, right? So I mean, once again, the work that we are doing here is respected, but it doesn't mean that it's the only way to move forward, correct? So we need to be aware of that, and only by being aware of it we can take what we are doing today on the weekly base together to the next level. So I think the last comment I have on this point here is, together with all of you and Purple, we are building this reference layer that will allow and secure all of it to become a credit entity. That is what we want to achieve. Integration of those requirements following our strategy for open source middleware and adaptation layer will definitely turn all of us unique. And that is the key element to close this slide. We will now walk you through a little bit on what Kaon, especially Kaon, is doing on the security level. So we have splitted the speech in 4 domains. This slide tackles 2 of them: hardware and platform. So hardware security and platform security. You are seeing here some bullet points that are the baseline of any security implementation when you are definitely an OEM. Some of them are available, others are still work in progress. But from a hardware point of view, secure JTAGs, serial ports, introduce memory encryption, hardening all the network interfaces, and secure local and external storage devices. So these are pretty much the 5 main bullet points when it comes to hardware endurance. Platform, secure boot, chain of trust, chipset fusing, bootloader authentication, firmware authentication and encryption, kernel hardening, introducing also a safe approach to Linux containers. This is all in our heads, in our concepts, and of course at the end of the day, operators are very keen when it comes to the gateway security. Let's be very honest that operators is our target layer, and they demand high security requirements for the SAP providers. And so this always needs to be in our minds, and I think we are doing a great job in the working group. Next slide covers the 2, I wouldn't say soft areas, but more application and network driven. So from an application point of view, secure coding, countermeasures, for OWASP top 10 guidances, application signings, things like chain of trust is definitely key. And introducing additional levels of controls towards SSH and FTP access is also something that we definitely need and must do. From a network point of view, UTC synchronization, access management, firewall implementations, Wi-Fi security enhancement, looking also towards what Wi-Fi Alliance is doing. So this is definitely key key strategic points. And for Kaon side, security is definitely a full align with Purple security guidelines. I mean, we participate on the working group not only to consume but also to contribute, and our main objective is to run strict and strong security rules and procedures, and of course implement comprehensive security industry guidelines. So at the end of the day, I've said it several times during the presentation, we want to bring trust and credibility when people challenge us in terms of security. It does not need to say that we need to be the best, but we need to be the secure ones. correct? So I think with this job, we are definitely achieve this. We have one more testimony, which is from our European R&D Center. So pretty much our technical lead for the security implementation. So I hand over to him. And I want also to thank you to all once again for this opportunity and for listening to us. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Todimir, and I will talk about how to improve the next generation of CPEs by implementing the secure development lifecycle. So who am I? I'm an application embedded security specialist at Sentinel Holdings, the Kaon's broadband European R&D team. We already heard about how the attack surface of modern CPEs ecosystem is vast, how it includes both CPEs, connected services, and devices connected to CPEs. But Industry 4.0 and IoT will change all that and further expand that attack surface. From connected rich sensors, connected appliances, and similar, we know that the modern CPE will be a much more interesting target, both from a low-level criminal perspective and both as a strategic target for nation-state adversaries. This is nothing new. Other industry sectors like finance have very similar problems. It's not about the threat landscape or problems or vulnerabilities. What we need here is to design secure products. And there never will be a fully secure system, so we need to control risks and produce systems that are hardened to a required level of security. In other industries, this is done with engineering and management approaches that improve product security. There are many approaches, and we certainly can't condense everything in a 5-minute presentation, but let's talk about the secure development lifecycle. This practice was popularized by Microsoft and their SDL approach, and OWASP with their Software Security Assurance Maturity Model. There are a few stages to the SDLC, so let's see how they work for developing secure CPEs. The first main topic is security training. Secure code is written by developers that know about application security vulnerabilities and how to mitigate risks in software when they're writing it. Secure firmware is built by firmware engineers that know how to develop, integrate, and harden specific firmware components. Security is guided by managers that know what elements should be a part of a quality and secure product. This means we need to start by making sure everyone is aware of security in their area of responsibility and how security is integrated in their area of expertise. The second main topic is security by design. This includes performing risk assessments, threat modeling analysis of services, ecosystems, entire CPEs, and defining security requirements that are an integral part of the product's functional requirements. And security always should be a functional requirement. This includes creating tasks that need to be fulfilled in the development process, which, when integrated, will produce a more secure system. The third topic is secure development. This means making sure that the elements from which we build our CPEs, from SDKs that are foundational building blocks for our firmware, to open source services that we integrate, to specific hardware elements, are secure. If they aren't secure, we are building on brittle foundations. This is something where a lot of today's supply chain security issues are revolving around, and where a lot of work needs to be done. A lot of issues we see with vulnerabilities are inherited from the base components that we are working with, and they are part of our firmware building blocks. The fourth topic is secure verification. By using automation, we can detect vulnerabilities early on in the development process. This means using source code scanning tools and dynamic analysis tools to detect vulnerabilities. This helps us avoid common issues and vulnerabilities before we even build a firmware image. But automation is not enough. We also need manual security testing. First off, by reviewing if all design elements are integrated according to the prior design stage requirements. Second, if the produced firmware is compliant to the client security requirements and if best practices like BSI, prpl, OWASP, and others are actually satisfied. Third, by doing actual in-house and external penetration tests where we want to see how the CPE fares against actual hackers trying to find vulnerabilities and break into the CPE. And the last topic is thinking about the future, or better said, incident response. Specific vulnerabilities will be uncovered sooner or later, either in our software or in the building blocks of our firmware or CPEs. What we need to do is to plan how to mitigate such issues when it comes to such incidents, and how will we respond to those incidents, and how will we patch the fleets of devices in the wild. If we want to build secure CPEs and secure firmware, we need development process to help us do that. And this is it for this short presentation. Thank you very much for your time.
The conclusion of this presentation about security. What have we learned? First of all, with an increasing amount of devices in the home, security becomes more and more important, and security threats are increasingly more important and more threatening to the customers. Secondly, the Purple Foundation has established work groups that put security on their agenda and treat it in a way to overcome those threats by consistent solutions like Carlos and the speakers before described in more detail. Kaon is fully committed to support this. Kaon is inviting others to join the club, and we are using external sources to verify that we are on the right track and that we are giving and taking from Purple in a way that everybody is enjoying the best security possible. And that would bring me to my last slide, which is, if you are concerned by security, or if you have great ideas how to overcome those issues, just go on this website and see how you can join Purple. If you're already in Purple, just continue helping us to increase the security of our customers and of the customers of our customers, which at the end of the day we are ourselves even. So thanks a lot, everybody, and I wish you all the best and stay safe. With the question, OEMs shall deliver good hardware and full stop, but the reality is different. Our customers are concerned, and they are asking us because we have one advantage. We talk to many customers around the world. We are collecting feedback from them. We are collecting their concerns, and we are translating that into a solution for the others. So we are multiplying the knowledge inside the industry, and I think that is a good thing for us. And also, I mean, we have to grow away from supplying pure hardware into supplying solutions and extra revenues. Very simple. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you so much. Also, next question. So every single device looks like a mobile phone, a tablet, or a PC are coming with their own security. They have firewalls, antivirus, spam filters, etc., you name it. So why would a service provider try to impose an additional security layer on top of this?
That's interesting. Yeah, you might feel safe if you are protected on your mobile phone, but the risk is the network itself. So if the home is full of protected devices, but the connectivity between those devices is vulnerable, or is full of malware, or can be attacked, or can even be blocked, your wonderfully protected mobile phone is useless if it cannot actually get through the network, you know.
That's a fair point. Awesome. Thank you. All right, looking for the next question. You are drawing a quite blank picture for the future, black picture for the future. How real are these kinds of threats?
They are happening every day, and I think we heard it a bit in Carlos' speech. We heard it a bit in the guy from NCC. We have collected data from different partners. We are working with different partners in the security industry. It is super real, and people are really concerned about it. It's not like painting a black picture and then making people afraid and then asking them to pay money for solutions. This is real threats that are happening, real hacks. And I mean, think of yourself. How safe do you feel when you look at your spam folder, when you actually open a new app and you are just asked things that you wouldn't like to share with anyone? It's happening every day, and there is a whole industry just behind this, and a whole industry also against it.
Yeah, that actually draws a good point. Every day you go into spam and you're concerned about how do these things fall through the cracks. Well, I mean, they're getting caught, but why am I seeing them? And the same thing, there's so many times that I sign up for an application and I'm asked all this information that doesn't seem pertinent. And then it makes me wonder how that's getting used on the back end.
Right.
Hey, Pat, sorry to interrupt here, but I would like to ask Thomas to answer the same question from Purple perspective. Because from wide area point of view, everybody can say those things, but let's see how it works from the Purple perspective here.
That's great.
That's a good question, but I'd like to, if I can, point that question to Carlos. He's much deeper inside. Carlos, are you there?
I'm here.
Cool.
So, I mean, when you look what this working group Purple Security is doing, right? So the definition of a baseline security requirements, a definition of potential standardization that everyone can use and will use across the different areas, that when you look from a CPE point of view, you can focus on, like hardware, like software, right? So this is very important, right? So, and this is, I think, what we are trying to do. Of course, we don't want to be negative. We know that security threats do exist, yeah. And what we try to do is, based on the learnings that every different individual part of this working group, and also looking to outside of the community, what is happening, we try to consume that, integrate that, yeah, and further develop and hopefully contribute back to everyone that wants to assimilate all of these concerns. Yeah, so I mean, it's not black and white. There is no, I wouldn't say, a direct answer, but we do our best, right? I mean, when I say we, of course, here defending the Purple board and everyone that contributes back, right?
Oh, thank you. And thank you for answering it, within Purple's perspective. Next question, I'm seeing, how do you see the implementation of security into LXC?
Okay, I guess, Thomas, this is mine, yeah?
Yeah, please.
Go for it.
So, Linux containerization security. Actually, we don't have a lot of time to answer this question, but we will be presenting in front of everyone part of the LCM group next week, next Thursday. So it will be a great opportunity to dive into the details. So I'll just give it a little bit more generic, okay, Patricia. So routers have become dynamic ecosystem and a very, very central piece to operators when it comes to customer experience, right? So if you look at from the operator's point of view, that's exactly what they are thinking about it. Security in these expanded services, because when you talk about containerization, you immediately start thinking about third-party apps, yeah. They need to be seen, case by case, right? By focusing on the containerization itself. I mean, for example, specific access rights to certificated groups, you need to implement specific global and dedicated container configuration. So I don't have an answer, a direct answer to that question. We are definitely addressing it. It's one of the interesting topics, to bring security, the holistic view more towards, the third-party apps support. But we need to find a way, and hopefully, once again, drifting these to the Purple LCM group, we need to find a way inside that group to address, I would say, 95% of those concerns. Yeah, the others we will need to toggle through the deployments.
No, that makes sense.
I answered the question. Yeah.
Good high level, and then, as you said, there will be some discussion next week that you can go into that a little further. So that is great. Another question: what is the #1 security threat to a home router not coming from a compromised PC?
No, Thomas, I think you are creative enough to take that one, no?
Whoever wants to take it. I cannot take it.
I mean, just let's repeat the question. Not coming from a compromised PC.
Yeah. So number one security threat to a home router, not coming from a compromised PC.
I mean, if I look at my personal environment, I have realized after half a year in my new apartment that 5 people are surfing on my network because I gave a neighbor the password because he moved in and he needed something and he gave it to someone else. And that was even a self-induced security problem which I created myself. And I know that 70% of the people, of the customers, and that's a number I read recently in a study, don't know how many devices are connected to their network. So before even thinking about someone hacking my network actively, I have to look at myself and say, I'm the hacker myself because I open it to anyone. And I shouldn't be surprised that things happen on my home network, even just simple reduction of speed because my neighbor is consuming Netflix in Ultra HD. And I have to blame myself. Huh? So I think my biggest concern is about the innocence of the user not knowing what's happening with his home network, while on the other side, also given the corona crisis, the home office colliding with the homeschooling and colliding with the private entertainment, that this is creating a different view from the customer and a different awareness of those problems. I think it's not the PC at the end. The professional PCs.
I would like to butt in again. Well, Tom, I would like to butt in again. Sorry about that.
Yeah, please.
But I would like to also put it in another twist. So as a service provider representative, I cannot afford to make a statement that my customer is incompetent and not secure my box. I have to do that. Right. So the question was, towards how do we do that from service provider point of view? Therefore, how do we create a prpl solution that is secure enough to say it's hardened and it's carrier grade software here?
Yes. Right. I mean, I wouldn't have formulated the same answer if I would still work for Deutsche Telekom, which I did before. Working for an OEM, I mean, I see the threats. I consider myself a consumer myself, and therefore, I think we are both right here.
Yeah, but just to expand, maybe do you have time, Patricia?
Yeah, we have 3 minutes and one more question, so we're good.
Cool.
I think it was Evgeny. So I mean, we as an OEM, we receive a lot of security requirements that are coming from the service providers, from operators' point of view. So we integrate. We also make sure that all of that is part of what we discuss inside prpl, right? So, I mean, I think our main goal here is, from an holistic point of view, make the box secure. Right? And there is different ways to do that. I mean, we touched today several domains like hardware, like platform, application, network, right? So, I mean, we pretty much look into the 4 different angles where, threats can, well, is this sufficient? It will never be sufficient. I think we will always need to keep going, right? I mean, also as part of the NCC testimony, I mean, it's impressive how creative people are and gifted, to try to break the technology that we all put into the customer premises. And you as an operator, of course, security is definitely the first touch point. Yeah. So I hope, Evgeny, I gave you a little bit more of also what we are doing in the working group and how to tackle it. Yeah. I mean, there is no right or wrong. There is just the way to move forward, from my perspective.
Oh, that makes sense. We have 1 minute and 1 question. So how do you see the security implementation being taken by other activities like high-level API, or to be more generic, on the different network services? Carlos or Thomas?
Yeah, that's.
Good
I was
call.
already thinking. Okay.
Questions.
Well, so I think there is not a single solution, yeah, to every demands or ask for operators or any other parties, yeah, or whatever we want to call it. I think what we must ensure is that for each solution that we define a standard protocol and eventually, a secure API, that allows to do all of this. Yeah, maybe a single interface. I don't know, right? I think these type of questions definitely fit into the high-level API working group scope and definition. Once again, there is no straight answer when it comes to security. So I think here, once again, we need to look into the holistic view and make sure when we integrate and we put out those specifications, security is potentially the #1 point that is addressed, right?
Yeah.
So
it's up to the
we don't
people
compromise
working.
anything. Yeah.
Right. No, that makes sense. It's up to the teams working on it to make sure that security is always at the forefront of development.